Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Rich Bradley, President of the Board of Public Service. This is the regular meeting of the Board of Public Service for Tuesday, June 27th, 2023. This is a public meeting. We do have two lettings today and one hearing. And as soon as the bids are printed off, we will read the bids first and then we will handle the letting. So I appreciate your patience.
Okay, I'm ready. We have two lettings today.
Go right ahead.
It's from Raven LLC.
Okay, one more time, let's back up. So we're doing plans, specifications for letting number 8759 Turner Park Comfort Station, project number 2022-08-06. And you can go right ahead.
Raven LLC has bid, and their bid is $231,637.50. 231,637.50. The second letting we have is for 8760, and it is for concrete and brick sidewalk removal, replacement and complete sidewalk installation, SP-117. We have one bid, and it is from Stika Brothers Cement Company. And they bid $1,457,275. That's 1,457,275.00.
Okay, so we had two lettings. We had one bid for each letting, and that concludes our bids for today, correct?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, at this time, we will handle the hearing. Hearing number 128344. Hearing number 128344 is being conducted pursuant to section 26.100.030 of the revised code of the city of St. Louis. The purpose of this hearing is to determine whether to revoke the conditional use permit numbered as 128344 issued to Yo Dan's Restaurant, CO Robert Johnson and Danny Chambers, to occupy 5421 Riverview Boulevard as a cafe with patio seating, no cooking. The parties have been notified of the violations of the conditions of this conditional use permit in writing by certified mail, along with the posted notice of today's hearing. This hearing has been convened in order to address the issues surrounding condition number 3 as follows. Condition number 3, the applicant shall provide a refuse container on the exterior of the premise for use by the customers. If another container is needed due to the level of business, it shall also be provided. The Office of Zoning Administrator has the burden to prove the conditional use permit conditions have not been complied with. After all evidence of the zoning administrator has been presented, the board will ask for additional testimony, if any, in support of this revocation. Then the conditional use holder will be given the opportunity to present evidence. Lastly, the board will hear other testimony in opposition to the revocation, if any. The testimony today is being recorded. When you come forward, please state your name and your address and be sworn in. As you testify, please direct your comments to the board and not to those in the audience. Members of the audience are asked to remain silent and not coach the witnesses. During your testimony, members of this board may have questions for you. Following the hearing, the board will proceed with its regular agenda. Following the conclusion of the regular agenda, the board will deliberate, discuss, and vote on the hearing. The board will notify the conditional use holder of its decision by mail in about 2 weeks. The Board of Public Service has in its possession the following documents which are being introduced into evidence. Item 1, a certified copy of the zoning code of the city of St. Louis. Item 2, the conditional use permit numbered as 128344 issued on March 10th, 2020 for Yo Dan's Restaurant, CO Johnson Chambers, to occupy 5421 Riverview as a cafe with patio seating, no cooking. Item 3, a letter dated June 6, 2023, sent certified mail to Yo Dan's Restaurant, DBA Munchie Shop, CO Robert Johnson and Danny Chambers at 5421 Riverview regarding the revocation of conditional use permit number 128344, notifying the permit holder of the violations of the permit and providing notice of the public hearing on June 27, 2023. Item 4, a memorandum dated June 2nd, 2023 from the zoning specialist Sandra Long to the zoning administrator Mary Hart Burton stating that on June 1st, 2023, Ms. Long found a violation of condition number 3, namely that there was no trash can on the exterior of the premise. Item 5, a copy of an email from Mary Hart Burton dated May 5th, 2023 to Alderwoman Pam Boyd and others regarding the zoning of 5421 Riverview and 5423 Riverview. Item 6, a copy of the public notice of today's hearing in the City Journal dated June 13th, 2023, June 20th, 2023, and June 27th, 2023. Item 7, a copy of an email dated June 2nd, 2023 from Mary Hart Burton to Michelle Knox regarding the scheduling of this hearing. Item 8, photographs dated June 22nd, 2023 of a sign posted at 5421 Riverview, providing notice of the public hearing at room 325 City Hall at 145. Item 9, additional photographs dated June 22nd, 2023 of the outside conditions at 5421 Riverview. At this time, the board asks a representative of the Office of Zoning Administrator to please come forward and be sworn in.
Ready.
Thank you. Would you please raise your right hand? The testimony that you're about to give before this board is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I am.
Thank you. Please state your name for the board.
I'm Sandra Long, zoning specialist for the city of St. Louis. As of yesterday afternoon, I found that the applicant was in compliance with the conditional use 128344. However, there was a lot of temporary signage that was posted. You can see the photos. Signage requires permits from the building division, and there are no permits on file. So this will refer to the building inspector to look at the signs.
Okay, so I'm going to open the floor up for questions from the board, but Sandra, I do have one general question. So were you the one who performed the actual site inspection and found that there was no trash receptacle at this business?
Yes, sir.
So when you did that, I'm assuming, and correct me if I'm wrong, that you went in and you spoke to the conditional use holder and you made that known to them at some point, correct?
I did. I went in and talked to the person that was working at the business. It wasn't the owner of the business, but it was the person working in there, and I gave them a copy of their conditional use permit.
So I guess the issue that I take with this whole thing is this, is that we're talking about a missing trash receptacle on the outside of a business. And so for all the time that the zoning department had to spend with this, all the time the secretary of the board had to spend with this, the legal department as well as this board, I find this just absolutely inappropriate that this is something that couldn't have been rectified very simply with a phone call without coming to this board for a revocation hearing.
I did the investigation off of the conditions that the alderwoman requested the investigation, sir.
Well, I do appreciate your time, and I'm going to open the floor up for comments from other members of the board. Okay, seeing none, and yes, Sandy is with the city of St. Louis. You're zoning, correct? Zoning
Yes, sir.
administrator?
No,
Okay,
I'm the zoning specialist.
zoning specialist. Jerry, did you get that? Okay, great. All right, so no further questions for the zoning specialist. Sandy, thank you for your time. At this time, if there's anyone else present who wishes to testify, the noted conditions have not been complied with, please come forward and be sworn in. I don't see anyone on the screen. I don't see anyone in the chat. If there's someone here that wants to testify supporting the revocation, please bring it to my attention at this time. Seeing none, let the record reflect that there's no one present who wishes to testify in support of the revocation. At this time, the board asked the conditional use permit holder to please come forward and be sworn in. And Michelle, I'm assuming those are the gentlemen in the room with you?
Yes, sir. We have Mr. Robert Johnson and Danny Chambers.
Okay, go right ahead.
Mr. Robert Johnson, would you raise your right hand? The testimony that you're about to give before this board is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Please, Mr. Johnson, please state your name and address for the board.
Robert Johnson, address is 5429 Riverview Boulevard.
Okay, so I'm going to give you an opportunity to address the board with anything that you would like to say, and then I'll open the floor up for questions, sir.
Hi, President Bradley. At this time, I guess it was a misunderstanding because we've always had a commercial dumpster that divides both of the businesses that we have on Riverview, and it's been there for 5 to 6 years. And it's been a lot of problems that we've been having with our alderwoman for whatever unseen reason there is, but getting a trash can in front of the business was something we just didn't know that we needed at the time. And when we found out that we needed one, we got one.
Okay. All right, thank you for that testimony. So I will open the floor up for questions. I'll start with a couple of comments of my own, and that is that it sounds like there may have been a misunderstanding. So it sounds like when you understood that you needed one, you have placed one. Is that correct?
That's correct, sir.
Okay, and we do appreciate that. Now, Sandra Long did mention that you also have some signage there that is not compliant with the conditional use permit. Are you willing to address that immediately and get that resolved?
Yes, we will. They've been on the building for years. They're pill and stick letters on the windows. Yes, we will. They've been there for years.
Yep, thank you. And I would just ask you to continue to work with the staff, like Sandra and our zoning department. They are outstanding people, and they will be glad to explain to you what you need. And if you just work along with them, we get these things resolved without having to go through all these investigations and board hearings and bringing you down to City Hall, and you kind of get the picture, right?
Yes, I do.
Okay, thank you. At this time, I'm going to open the floor up for any of our board directors who might have questions for our applicant, for our conditional use permit holder.
I do have a question. This is not so much a question for the applicant, but just for my knowledge, the typical process, Rich, if a business is found being in non-compliance would be to just have a conversation with the building division, or the building division would initiate the conversation and resolve it outside of this meeting?
Yes, so what really happens is generally is if a complaint is made that someone is not compliant with their conditional use permit, with the conditions of it, it is brought to zoning, and then zoning sends an inspector out to take a look at it. That's where all these different inspections come from. And generally upfront in the beginning, what happens is they usually do their best to contact the business owner. Now, you did hear Sandra say, she mentioned it to the person working there, which obviously would be the thing to do, because that is there. And so if they correct the conditions relatively quickly, it does not come back to us. When it comes to us is after they've made different visits and received numerous complaints and things along those lines, and then it goes through and comes to the board for an actual hearing. In this case here, this gentleman very clearly, said something that struck my attention, that this was a misunderstanding. They had a dumpster there. They didn't necessarily understand they needed a trash can receptacle. So, he willingly put it there, which is a good thing for all of us, right?
Thank you, Director Bradley.
Yes, sir. Any other questions from any of our board members for the conditional use permit holder? Okay, thank you very much for your time, sir. We appreciate it. At this time, if there's anyone else present who wishes to oppose the revocation, please come forward and be sworn in. I do not see anyone on the screen or in the chat. So if you are here to oppose the revocation, you want to testify, please bring it to my attention now. Seeing none, let the record reflect that there's no one else here who opposes this revocation. The matter concerning hearing number 128344 is now closed and submitted. The board will now proceed with its regular agenda. Can you please call the roll?
Director Coyle is excused. Director Davis? Director Hayes?
I'm here.
I got you, Director Davis. Director Hayes?
Aye.
Director Pearson?
Here.
Director Scobie?
Present.
Director Williams?
President.
President Bradley?
Present, we have a quorum. I'll call the meeting order.
Regular order of business from the president. Recommendation that approval be given as follows. Supplemental agreement number 12 to PSA number 1226. Mechanical, electrical, and plumbing design services, St. Louis Lambert International Airport with Burns and McDonald Engineering Company Incorporated in the amount of $150,000. This supplemental agreement is amended to modify the scope of work and is authorized by ordinance number 67357. Supplemental agreement number 15 to PSA number 1210. Open-ended architectural design, drafting and estimating services, St. Louis Lambert International Airport with Oculus Incorporated in the amount of $179,035.90. This supplemental agreement is amended to modify the scope of work and is authorized by ordinance number 71657. From the Office of Special Events, requests for the following to be approved, subject to certain conditions. There are 3 special events to be declared as festival zones. Number 1, STL Fest will take place on Washington Avenue and Samuel Shepherd Drive between Teresa Avenue and Josephine Baker, and back to Teresa Avenue, Josephine Baker Boulevard between Washington and Samuel Shepherd on July 2nd, 2023 at 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. Setup and tear down will begin July 2nd at 5 a.m. and ends July 3rd at 6 a.m. Number 2, the Red Lantern Festival will take place on Euclid between Laclede and West Pine on July 22nd, 2023 at 10 a.m. to 11:59 p.m. Number 3, Gateway Arch Riverfront Car Show will take place on Lenore K. Sullivan from Popular to Ease on August 12th, 2023 at 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Setup and tear down will be from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. From the Director of Streets, recommendation that the following be approved, subject to certain conditions. Application number 131700, request from Mama Capacia Restaurante to encroach with tables and chairs for a sidewalk cafe utilizing 80 square footage with liquor on Bishop Avenue at 2132 Edwards. Recommendation that the following be denied. Application number 131627, request from Cafe Miami LLC to encroach with tables and chairs for a sidewalk cafe at 2022 South 12th Street, due to a lack of adequate space to put tables and chairs and still maintain 4 feet of open, unobstructed walkway. From the Directors of Public Safety and Utilities, joint recommendation that the following be approved, subject to certain conditions. Request from Pittsman Company to adjust the boundary at 4646 Cottage Avenue in City Block 4471. Request from Matthew Salvicio to adjust the boundary plat at 3145 Lafayette Avenue in City Block 2127. From the Directors of Public Utilities and Streets, joint recommendation that the following be approved, subject to certain conditions. Application number 131636, request from Union Electric doing business as Ameren, Missouri, to construct new multiple conduit, duct banks, and a manhole, and install 2 network vaults within the sidewalks right-of-way, approximately 915 LF of open trench construction at 470 North 15th, 1351 Martin Luther King, 13th, 15th, and 16th Streets. Request from Union Electric doing business as Ameren, Missouri, to construct approximately 232 feet, 4 to 5 foot PL, service duct bank and installation of primary cable systems to provide new secondary meter service at 4409 St. Louis Avenue Residential Development Project. Joint recommendation that 4 applications from AT&T be approved, subject to certain conditions. Application number CM23-0098 for 7901 Michigan Avenue. Application number CM23-00102 for 3534 Gradiac Street. Application number CM23-00103 for 5335 Southwest Avenue. Application number CM23-00105 for 4216 Clayton Avenue. From the Director of Public Safety, there are 2 conditional use permits to be approved, subject to certain conditions.
Examiner for the city of St. Louis, representing the building commissioner. Per order number 766, transmitted here with our recommendations for the following conditional use agenda applications. Number 1 is 3819 Indiana Avenue, and number 2 is 3139 South Grand Boulevard, Suite 201.
Are there any questions from any of our board members on today's conditional uses?
This is Greg Hayes. I make a motion to approve the conditional uses as submitted.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second, Scobie.
Thank you, directors. Can you call the roll, please?
Sure. Director Coyle is excused. Director Davis? Director Hayes?
Aye.
Thank you. Director Hayes?
Aye.
Director Pearson?
Aye.
Director Scobie?
Aye.
Director Williams?
Aye.
President Bradley?
Aye, today's conditional uses are approved. Hearing number 128344 for Yo Dan's Restaurant, Robert Johnson, Danny Chambers, 5421 Riverview Boulevard, as a cafe with patio seating, no cooking. They were in violation of condition number 3, which was a trash receptacle. You heard from the zoning specialist and the conditional use permit holder at today's hearing. The trash receptacle has been placed, and the conditional use permit holder said that he believed it was a misunderstanding. There was also some notation about some signage that needs permits or needs to be removed. We cannot handle that because that was not part of this original revocation hearing. But we did get a commitment from the conditional use holder that he would be glad to work with zoning to comply moving forward. So with that little synopsis, I'll ask, open the floor up and ask if there's any questions or comments from any of our board directors. Seeing no questions or no comments, is there a motion on the floor?
All right, could I try this one out?
You sure can.
Could I will motion to deny revocation of conditional use permit?
Okay, so a motion to not revoke the conditional use permit. Do I have a second?
Second Hayes.
Okay, I'm
Second.
gonna stop because Mary Burton has her hand up. So Mary, go ahead if you have a question or comment.
Thank you, President Bradley. I was just going to comment that maybe the motion would be to dismiss without prejudice since they're in compliance. That's what you normally do.
That is
So
a
just
great,
trying to help Mr. Pearson out there.
right, that's a great question, and a great commentary. Thank you as always for your expertise. So Director Pearson, would you be willing to withdraw your motion and restate it?
I formally withdraw my motion and I will restate, okay, let me get this right. Motion to, hold on, I missed. Dismiss
Without prejudice.
without prejudice.
Say- That's
Director
correct.
Mati, I'm reading your lips.
So I
I
have a motion.
enthusiastically second that motion because it was brilliant.
That's great. So we have a motion to dismiss without prejudice from Director Pearson. Do I have a second?
Second, Williams.
Thank you, directors. Is there any further questions or comments before we vote? Seeing none, can you call the roll, please?
Director Coyle is excused. Director Davis,
Aye.
Director Hayes,
Aye.
Director Pearson,
Aye.
Director Scobie,
Aye.
Director Williams,
Aye.
President Bradley.
Aye, the hearing is dismissed without prejudice. And again, that's why I said the zoning department and building division are so outstanding under Mary's guidance, things like that. We get it right. So Mary, thank you as always. I appreciate you.
You're welcome.
Okay, let's move on to the meeting minutes from June 20th, 2023. Are there any questions or comments on the meeting minutes as submitted? Seeing none, I'll ask for a motion to approve, please. So move, Scobie.
Second, Davis.
Thank you. Can you call the roll, please?
Director Coyle is excused. Director Davis,
Aye.
Director Hayes,
Abstain.
thank you. Director Pearson.
Aye.
Director Scobie,
Aye.
Director Williams,
Aye.
President Bradley.
Aye, the meeting minutes are approved. Today's agenda, questions or comments on today's BPS meeting agenda? Seeing none, I'll ask for a motion to approve, please. So move, Scobie.
Second, Davis.
Pearson.
Thank you, directors. Can you call the roll, please?
Director Coyle is excused. Director Davis,
Aye.
Director Hayes,
Aye.
Director Pearson,
Aye.
Director Scobie,
Aye.
Director Williams,
Aye.
President Bradley.
Aye, today's agenda is approved. Before we adjourn, are there any questions or comments from any of our board directors?
What happens if we wanted to dismiss with prejudice? What does that mean?
Well, that to me, what that would mean is that would be a revocation. I mean,
Okay,
what Mary basically said is it's very similar to what you were saying, not revoke, but it's just a general coverall statement that says, you know what, we have no thoughts any other way. So therefore, we're just dismissing it. It's a Robert's Rules of Order type procedure.
okay.
Okay?
Thank you all. I'm the kid in class who asks a lot of questions, so appreciate you.
No, it's okay. I think ask the questions all you want. That's how you learn. So, okay, any other comments before we adjourn? Seeing none, thank you all for your time and effort every week. I appreciate all of you. I will ask for a motion to adjourn, please.
So moved, Hayes.
Second, Scobie. Thank you. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Meeting adjourned. Thank you all. Have a nice afternoon.
Thank you.